The Steelers have finally decided to pull the trigger on a George Pickens trade. And while it doesn't come as a major surprise, the timing is leaving many scratching their heads as the Steelers are suddenly back at square one on offense. Hey everyone, Rob Gregson of A to Z Sports Pittsburgh, and today we're going to break down why trading George Pickens right now was a horrible decision by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, we talked about just a few days ago that the writing was on the wall regarding the future of George Pickens. Whether it was he played out the 2025 season, he got traded at the deadline, training camp, or as soon as obviously this week, George Pickens was not going to be on the team past 2025. That's fine. We understand that. The issue at hand here is that the Steelers now have no viable wide receiver number 2. I don't want to hear that Robert Woods is going to be their guy. Robert Woods was a great player 3, 4, 5 years ago. We're talking about half a decade ago where he was a significant contributor on the perimeter. The Steelers don't have that player anymore. Sure, Calvin Austin took a nice leap last year. Maybe Roman Wilson actually plays some games for the Steelers in 2025. But they have no significant threat on the perimeter. Teams are just going to double DK Metcalf and say, go ahead, someone else, we dare you to beat us. And that's exactly what happened last year with George Pickens. The whole idea was to have George Pickens on one side and DK Metcalf on the other. And I know we've talked about with sourced material how big of a headache that George Pickens had become for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I totally understand that. But when it gets to the point where you're giving up George Pickens for a third-round pick in next year's draft, when if you just play the season out and let him walk, you receive a fourth-round pick, the value just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If Dallas came and offered a second-round pick, then maybe we have a deal here. But to give up one of the best wide receivers in the NFL when you have a horrible wide receiving core outside of DK Metcalf, and you did all of that for a third-round pick in next year's draft, which, by the way, they will have plenty of because of all the compensatory picks that they have coming, it makes zero sense from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This puts their offense right back at square one. Obviously, they still don't have a starting quarterback that's really worth their salt, and even if they do get Aaron Rodgers, well, now he gets to throw to just DK Metcalf. And yeah, there's some scrap heap free agents out there. Maybe they use all this draft capital that they're projected to have and make a midseason trade acquisition. But as of right now, their wide receiving core is very bad. They are a DK Metcalf turned ankle away from being right back where they were last year when George Pickens missed 3 games with his hamstring injury. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, that was not supposed to happen. This was supposed to be the year they took a step forward, where they had 2 Ferraris on the perimeter, where they came into every game with a dynamic set of options on offense. And suddenly, because they wanted a third-round pick and to get George Pickens out of the building, they don't have that anymore.